So today I'm with Bertrand Poncet, aka Bert from Chunk No Captain Chunk. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm doing very well. I'm pretty busy with this day. Within these days, like it's the promo kind of promo time for the album. So it's always there's always a lot that happens. So yeah, but overall, that's pretty good. I'm just very happy to be able to talk about the album. So yeah.
That's great. So I know it's been a pretty rough and crazy year for everyone. How did you keep yourself busy during those pretty difficult times?
Yeah, well, like you said, we all had like a rough and a tough year in 2020 with COVID. Well, first of all, to be honest, like I got really scared for a minute, like because I'm running a business in the music production, and I saw all my clients canceling their sessions for the rest of the year, and I was like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? Like, so yeah, I got pretty worried for a minute, and that's pretty much where we decided to make that album. Because I mean, I'm not saying that without COVID, this fourth album would have not even happened. Like this,
Hmm.
this was supposed to happen at some point. So, but I guess COVID kind of like accelerated the process. I guess I'm very glad that we did that just to give us a better perspective, a better future, and like kind of like think of something different, something else than just COVID. Because here in France, like the medias were like going all. I mean, in the entire world, like everybody's been
Hmm.
crazy about it, and it's still going on. But just being locked down, like all suddenly, like being locked in your room and with nothing to do, it felt really weird. So um, yeah, it was weird. But the good thing is, we made that album, and I'm very very proud of it.
That's great. Well, I heard the first couple of songs and they're definitely really, really good. So you guys are going to be releasing your fourth album, Gonna the Good Days, out July 30th on Fearless Records. That's actually your first album since 2015. How
Yeah.
do you feel about releasing that fourth album after, it's the first time you've been taking such a long break in between albums?
Yeah. Well, what a lot of people need to understand is that when you're an international band, you when you're not on tour, you're in the studio, and you're like on this constant roll, I would say, and you never really get to take like a proper break, I would say.
Hmm.
And I love touring and everything, but we started our career, I would say professional career as a band in 2011, and it's been pretty much nonstop from 2011 till the end of 2016, almost 17. And I remember that we did Warp Tour in 2016, and at the end of that tour, like I was tired, like I've extremely tired, and we were supposed to take a little break, few weeks, and then go back to the studio like
Hmm.
right after to actually write that fourth album. And and that's actually we started like a songwriting session with my brother. We went to my parents' house, sat down for a minute. I mean, for a minute, for like 3 months or something, and we started writing stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if it was the fact that I was still so very tired from the tour, but like we couldn't come up with something that was good enough. And at the end of those 3 months, we were like, it's not good enough. Like we're not so happy about it. If we have to go to the studio one more time, like we already knew that this was gonna like be mediocre, I would say.
Hmm.
Not as good as we want our fourth album to be. So we were like, okay, let's give it a little more time. Let's maybe go back to normal life for a minute, and we'll get back at it when the vibe will be there. And that's what we did. So I understand that 6 years for a new album is a lot, but But me as a songwriter, I feel like it was the time that we needed to, I don't know, yeah, come up with something that was, good enough. I'm not saying that, we worked on that album for 6 years. Obviously we didn't, but it was kind of like the break we needed to get back on track properly, I would say.
Okay. Well, that's definitely understandable. So this album is actually the first one you're self-producing. Can you tell me a bit more about the experience as a band, doing your own album just like that? Yeah.
Actually, this one is the second album that is self-produced. The first one, the very, very first one, was actually self-produced as well.
Okay.
Well, and the good thing is that that's the album that kind of like got us signed on our label and all of that. So that was pretty much the starting point. However, when I listen to that first album now, it's like it's cringy, I would say. But I think I've always worked in music production, so I've always been interested in like music production, recording, editing, mixing, all of that, but also songwriting. And I think we learned a lot from our past studio experiences. Like for our second and third album, we went with different producers. Like we went with producers that were like that had a completely different approach, and I could I could see myself kind of like trying to like come up with like that perfect combination of the two for our band. So I learned a lot, and I'm very grateful we've been able to work with those producers. However, I think that our style of music, because it's so specific, so specific, that I cannot see myself going back to another producer now. Like we managed to craft our sound exactly the way we wanted with this new album. So, and I think if it was not self-produced, it would have been completely different. And I guess when you're an artist, when you have like a vision that's like so very detailed in your mind, the only way to achieve like that perfect sound, like to project exactly what you have in your mind, is to do everything on your own. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should do that, but I'm glad that we did, just because when I listen to this new album, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how I want this to be. So yeah, okay. I'm just very proud and very glad. Plus, also, that's very rewarding for us to see all like the good feedback or the bad, I don't know, to see, but like, yeah, all the good comments about that new album, just because, yeah, we take all the benefits for.
That was actually my upcoming question, because so you released Bitter 2 months ago. You released Gone Are the Good Days last month as well. So how did you feel about the fans' response to it?
Actually, it felt pretty good. There's been some bands that have been away for a couple of years, and when they come back, like there's like nobody's waiting for them, but us, and it was kind of like we were kind of like very scared before releasing Better, because we were not expecting like such a good reaction. But like, it just looking at the comments and all that, it almost feels like we never really left. Our fan base has been like expecting some stuff, and then they were here when we released the new song. So yeah, it's good. It also feels really good. And I'm very grateful to our fans for sticking around and believing in in our work. Because like I said, like I can name a few bands that have left for a couple of years, even like less than what we did here, and yeah, there was nobody waiting for them. So I'm glad that was just not the case for us. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just very, very
definitely.
happy. Yep.
Especially when I was, so, prior to this interview, I was listening to the old songs again. Um, and I couldn't help but notice all the comments on Blame It on This Song. People were just patiently waiting for you to come back. And especially, when we take a look at the lyrics, if I don't come back, blame it on this song.
Yeah.
I feel like people almost felt like you won them in a way. Was that planned in any way or not so much?
It was. It's actually funny because yeah, that was not our plan at all. When we wrote that song, we wrote that song for Warped Tour 2016, and basically that yeah, the topic for the song is just like kind of like the end of the summer topic with like a moody sort of topic for the song. But it's true that the hook is if I don't come back, blame it on this song. But yeah, we never planned that. We never planned the kind of like hiatus, even if I don't want to call that a hiatus. But um, it's funny to see how people interpreted that, and we could have said something at some point for in 2017 or 18 to clear things up, but we also felt it's interesting in the position we were to actually keep some sort of a mystery, and because at least people were talking,
Mm-hmm.
and I think when people talk about your band, it's always a good thing. But yeah, I found it very, very, very funny, just the way things happened and the way that song got interpreted after
Yeah, definitely.
after that.
And I couldn't help but, realize that this song is on the new album. Why did you decide to put it on the album?
Oh well, I think that song it's probably one of the best song we've ever wrote, and we always felt like it didn't get enough like the proper exposure with the way it was released in 2016. So yeah, we wanted to. Well, first I wanted to fix a few things. There was like a few pronunciation things that I really wanted to fix. Plus, I wanted to remix the whole thing, and plus we got like the whole like drums re-recorded and all of that. So yeah, I just wanted to have a better version with a proper exposure for that song, just because I feel like the songwriting is really good. But yeah, and again, it doesn't mean that our fourth album will be our last. so so yeah, it's just to get that song the proper publicity and exposure.
Okay. Well, talking about extremely great songs, you just released Complete You a few days ago, featuring AJ from A Dangerous Summer. Um, how did this feat happen? How did you decide to come up with this song, and also the sax on that song? My God, it's amazing.
Thank you, thank you. Well, yeah, that song started from like a weird experiment. Like we just wanted to have fun with with the songwriting on this one. So when you start writing a song, you always need like that starting point, something that will trigger everything, something where you're gonna build everything around that first idea. And sometimes it can be like the chorus melody, sometimes it can be like a guitar riff, but for this song we wanted like a completely unusual starting point. And it was for that song we started from like that kind of like tropical Afrobeat sort of like a weird drum pattern, and we were like, okay, let's try to build a song around that, and let's see how how we can incorporate a few chunk elements from from something that's like completely unusual for us. So we took it way far with like funky guitars, and yeah, obviously the saxophone was kind of like the cherry on the cake, but it came like that idea came like later in the process. But yeah, basically that song is all about experimentation and see how far we can, push our sound, our music. Because what also people needs to realize is that in a band, with a band in such a niche genre like us, it's very challenging to come up with something fresh, with something new. So you gotta challenge yourself to come up with something that will just not sound so repetitive. And yeah, we didn't want this first album to sound like the others. And I think that song is kind of like a good representation of like us trying new things. And that's definitely like, that song is definitely, yeah, that. But yeah, for talking about AJ, like that song at first was not supposed to have any guests, but this is something we didn't really do in the past. Like, just not because I don't like having guests on our albums, but it just we didn't get the opportunity to do that. And I guess our bass player, our guitar player, Paul, was chatting with AJ at that time, and we were like pretty late in the recording process. Like the songs were like almost finished, and he and I don't know, we just talked about it like kind of like randomly, and it was like, fuck yeah, I want to do this and all of that. So he was excited about it. Plus, also, it's kind of like a guilty pleasure for us to have him on the records, because the Dangerous Summer is, we all grew up with the Dangerous Summer, and it's I think the guy has such a unique and such a great voice, and yeah, I'm very glad we make that happen. Yeah, I'm just so glad how this song, this song turned out, because like I said, it was supposed to be the weird one on the track list, and it ended up being like one of the first singles we released. So
definitely,
yeah, I'm just glad. Plus, also, this song kind of like opens new opportunities and new perspective for us for like a fifth album. Like, if like such a weird experimentation ended up so well, for a fifth record, we'll take that in. Well, yeah, we'll have that in mind and maybe try to go even further. We'll see.
Talking about experimentation, I saw that there's also another featuring on your album.
Yeah.
So with Yvette Young of Covet, which is a math rock band, and easycore, post-hardcore, it's really far from math rock. Could you tell me a bit more about this feat?
So this one also like happened kind of like randomly. So my brother who's the guitar player, is working for a guitar string company. That's Daddario, and he were able to kind of like organize a tour, like a showcase tour for her in Europe. So, and they kept in touch after that, and they ended up being very good friends. And yeah, we actually thought about Yvette for the acoustic song kind of like since the very beginning, because we knew that we wanted to do something kind of different from like the kind of like campfire typical song like that, but and we knew that her being also like a multi instrumentalist, she could like bring some like very interesting ideas on the table. She's playing all the violins parts on the song. It's kind of like it's kind of subtle, but I think it makes a huge difference on the song. Plus that's the first time we kind of like have a female guest on a song. So I think I don't know. I'm really glad how this song turned out. It's very different from what we're used to do, but it's plus that's kind of like a love song, which is also something that's very unusual for us. But I don't know. Again, this album is all about experimentation, and I'm very glad how this one turned out. It's pretty cool. She did Yvette did a really good job. At first my brother was expecting her to do some like Covet stuff on the song, but in the end we kind of like realized that the song was kind of like slow and not really the best one to do that kind of like riffy stuff. But the violin thing is actually really good. I'm really glad how it turned out.
Okay, well, I'm pretty excited to hear it. I just had maybe one of the last questions, because this album feels extremely nostalgic, in a positive way. I think that was your intent behind it. But what should be the main takeaway from that album?
Well, I think nostalgia is kind of like the main topic. Like I said, this album was written in 2020 during the pandemic, and the pandemic kind of like influenced in a way the way we wrote the songs. But obviously we didn't want to talk about the pandemic. I mean, that would suck. But nostalgia is kind of like the one thing that's kind of like putting all the songs together. I mean, for Better and Gone Are the Good Days is pretty obvious. For the other songs, that can be kind of like something that's more subtle. There's that one track that's called Made for More, which is the most like chunk song on the track list. That's kind of like it's talking about, you know, going nuts in your own room and watching the world burn, pretty much. So it's kind of dark, but in a very like chunk way, in a way. I don't know, but so one thing I should say is that, I mean, I'm very proud of the singles that we released so far, but this entire album has been wrote with the big picture in mind. So it's cool to have a few songs released, but you need to get the full experience listening to it from start to finish, because all of the songs are very unique. They are on their own, but when you listen to the whole thing, it all makes sense together. It's not like a concept album where like all the songs talk to each other, but there is the chunk sound obviously in all of them, but they're all standing on their own. And I just can't wait for the album to be released so everyone can hear it from like in the order. I think the track is kind of like, is very important too. Yeah, because like I said, it's been the way it was written was with the big picture in mind, with the track list in mind, and every song has a specific spot for a reason. So yeah.
Okay, I see. Right. So last question, I guess. Because, you know, whoever says new album says a touring that goes with it. I know it's still a bit tricky to plan anything with COVID, with the vaccination situation and stuff like that. But do you have any tours that are planned? Do you have any offers yet?
So it's weird right now for us to be like in a promo time for the album and having zero touring planned. But I guess, you know, it will take a minute for, you know, the music industry to, you know, get back on track, I would say. I see that in the United States, in Canada, it's you get some festivals going and all of that. But you guys have been way better than us in Europe for the vaccination. We are late, but we'll get there. We'll get there, and I think, I don't know, you know, nobody knows what will happen, but like what's sure though is that as soon as we get like in proper offers for tours, festivals, and stuff like that, like we'll be there, we'll be on stage. But yeah, unfortunately, this is not the case at the moment. But you know, like I said, I think it will take maybe like a year and a half for, you know, the whole industry to get back to normal, I guess.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get to see you in Montreal.
Montreal is awesome every time. So yeah.
I didn't miss a single show of yours yet, so I'm pretty excited for the next one.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Bert. It was a pleasure talking to you, and you know, we're pretty excited for this new album. So, Gone Are the Good Days, out July 30th on Fearless Records. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.